CBeebies bedtime stories are available on the BBC iPlayer app.
CBeebies Bedtime Story.
Hi, and welcome to CBeebies Bedtime Stories with me, JL. What I was thinking of doing originally when this challenge came out, my initial thought process was something creative. So let's do a parody of something. Let's do a storybook idea, or this suggested in the Scoffs chat, let's do a poem, or let's collaborate on a song. Let's do something interesting. But as we sort of thought about those ideas more, it became apparent that it became more about the creation than the story. It became about fitting into a storybook for a child, or it became about creating a song that made sense more than just telling the truth. Which is a weird thing to say because we're all telling the truth. Right? Well, no. When I get asked by most people, why did you join Man v Fat Pretend? I tell them what I want them to know. I tell them that I was overweight, so I wanted to lose weight, and I like football, so weight loss football. It makes perfect sense, right? And yeah, that's the safe answer. That's the sanitized answer, the answer that doesn't really pose any more questions, and I can tell it to anybody. But the truth kind of sucks. The truth is way more complicated. It's painful. It can come from a place of anger, or it can come from a place of embarrassment. So when we really thought about it, we thought, why don't we just tell the truth? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to tell the truth. It's not the story of everybody. Not everyone's comfortable sharing exactly why they joined Man v Fat. Editor Jean here. So pretty much immediately after I recorded that and sent a little taster to the Scoffs chat, the rest of the team decided to open up. They decided to share why they joined, what their aspirations are. So in a way, this bonus goals challenge actually worked on our own team ahead of time. But yeah, so I'm having to record the rest of them after the fact. So thanks, guys. I'm happy to share a bit of the emotional side. Again, it's a bit cliche in the sense that I've just had a new baby, and it put things into perspective when you struggle to even bend down to pick them up or play with them on the floor. It just becomes a massive chore. So I wanted to lose weight to make sure I can play with my kids without sounding like an asthmatic rhino and sweating like a gypsy with a mortgage. I also want to see them grow up and live their lives. I struggle with consistency when it comes to losing weight. Playing football with friends helped with that and has been an important part of keeping my mental health in check. But after recently moving to the area, I didn't have it anymore. Man v Fat Pretend has given me that opportunity to start playing again in a great supportive environment. Usual sort of stuff for me. Want to be a better version of myself. I want to be healthier for me and my kids. Channeling my inner Luke, I don't much fancy wheezing like an asthmatic rhino every time we play. I enjoy playing football and I want to get back into it. Suppose the only other one is to try and curb my food addiction. But there's still a long way to go. When I was 18, I started a full-time job, and the uniform I was provided was a 3XL top and a 44-inch pair of trousers. At the time, I thought it was normal because of the material that the uniform was made of. So I started dieting half-heartedly, and I lost a bit, I put a bit back on, and that yo-yoed for years. In 2020, I decided I was going to take dieting seriously, because I was feeling really shit about how I felt all the time, how I looked compared to others, and I got into a bit of a dark hole. I was playing a lot of 11-a-side on a Saturday and only lasting 10, maybe 20 minutes, and I was knackered. I was also playing 5-a-side on a Sunday and being pulled off because within 5 minutes, I'm done. Up until COVID lockdown, I lost about 2 stone. I felt great. I dropped clothes sizes. Great. And then COVID hit, and I put 4 stone back on. Fast forward to October 2022, I started a new role and the new uniform was a shirt. I never wore shirts and I hated them. The way that they would fit made me feel really insecure. Christmas that year, we had a photo and I looked huge. I was made fun of the way I looked because of that photo. Another thing from that year, because of the shirt and the way I looked, I always wore my work jumper. Even in the baking sun, but that was the moment that I realised I needed to do something. Obviously, best mates with Ryan Harry. He saw the advert on Facebook and mentioned about doing it, and at the time, he was set on achieving it. And I really didn't like the thought of the concept at the time for no other reason than embarrassment, I think. Anyway, he went for the first week and loved it. So I joined, and since then, I haven't looked back. I've lost over 20 kg in a year. I became a 2-time Scales League champion with my team. I've gradually built my football confidence back up. I can run a 5k with no issues at all. And I can play a 90-minute game of 11s football. We were nominated for Best Team and went to the Football Awards in Manchester. I'm now captain of a fantastic Blues team on and off the pitch. And as cliche as it is, we're now a team of mates. I'm getting happier in my body and the fact that I can get into smaller clothes. I tend to avoid photos unless I'm drunk, so I don't really have any of me at my largest. I was already at Man v Fat at the time of this photo and would have already hit my 5%, but I remember having a few weddings post-COVID and having to buy new suits because I couldn't even get close to fitting in any of my old ones. In fact, none of my clothes really fit, and I refused to admit I needed to go a size up. It was always dodgy sizing or the washer shrinking them that was to blame. Eventually, I reached a crossroads where I either just accept that I'm a fat and I probably pile it on even more, or I make some sort of change. Luckily, MVF launched in Bridgend at basically the perfect moment, and Luke dragged me along. Now, the weight is gone to a point I'm more or less happy with. My goal is to get fitter and use my experience at Man v Fat to help other lads at the club achieve their goals. I used to weigh over 16 stone. I managed to drop 4 stone during lockdown, and that felt great. I started running, I was playing football again, and my confidence was at an all-time high. Fast forward 3 years, and an ankle break made me lazy again. It wasn't long before the pounds started piling back on. Even after recovery from the injury, all of my good habits were gone. Joining Man v Fat has helped me to regain those good habits, and I feel like I'm on my way to where I know I can be. More than that, I've met a really great bunch of like-minded blokes who I'm proud to call my mates. Upper Scoffs. When I was 9, my family moved to Oxfordshire because my father was in the RAF, and we were posted there. We ended up living there for 15 years. At first, I was devastated about leaving my friends behind, and as a result, I gained a lot of weight. I became the fat kid growing up. But by the time I turned 18, I started training, playing football, going to the gym, and it helped me get into better shape. At 24, I moved back to Wales, essentially starting over. I continued playing football with a local team and training in Bridgend. But after meeting my now wife, I moved to the Rhondda. The shift from Oxford to the Rhondda was a huge cultural change, and I began to feel out of place. I stopped exercising, socialising, and it all led to more weight gain. Around that time, we faced some tough challenges. My wife lost her father, and we learned that we couldn't have children. We went through IVF treatment, which unfortunately failed. All of this took a toll, and my weight climbed to 145 kg. It wasn't until my adoption medical that I realised I needed to make a change. To help with both my weight loss and meeting new, like-minded people, I decided to join Man v Fat Bridgend. It gave me the support I needed to start my journey toward better health and to connect with others who shared similar goals. I've already lost nearly 20 kg in my first 8 months at the club, and I've honestly met some of the best people on this incredible journey. The truth about me joining Man v Fat. I was a quiet boy who was struggling to lose weight and to socialise with others. No matter what I tried, it didn't work. and then pile anxiety and depression on top of it, and it was a challenge to achieve even day-to-day tasks like getting out of bed. I was in this spiral that kept tunneling down until one day I saw JL on ITV being interviewed about Man v Fat, and I thought, I'm okay at football, I want to lose weight, and I need to get out of my comfort zone. So that's what I did. I took the big leap by messaging JL on Facebook, and that's where it all began. 10 months later, I'm 9 kg down and I'm slowly finding myself again. I'm building self-confidence to do more things out of my comfort zone. Making that initial leap was the best thing I could have done for myself. I have battled my weight my entire life. I grew up as the fat kid in school, and though I found periods of months or even years where I got my life together and shrunk down to a normal weight, it didn't stick. Fast forward a few years and suddenly the world comes to a standstill. It's funny, at the time, lockdown didn't really seem like something I struggled with. I was living with my partner in the centre of Cardiff, we still had access to food and essentials, and we were both fortunate to be made remote workers immediately. But when I look back, lockdown also meant I didn't walk to work anymore. I didn't hang out with friends or colleagues anymore. I wasn't walking our dog as much, or walking him at all. And instead, we just ordered takeaways and binged TV and video games. My weight started to spiral. But it was always, this shirt has shrunk in the tumble dryer, or I prefer baggier clothes, so I'll buy the next size up. The next size up was a medium, then a large, then an XL, then a 2XL, then a 3XL. It never really stopped. I moved to working overnight shifts, and my habits just got worse. Packets of biscuits would be my crutch to keep me awake. But if I'm honest with myself, I was depressed at who I'd become. I developed severe acid reflux. I blamed all sorts of things, but eventually I went to a GP who looked me in the eye and awkwardly said, "There's no easy way to say this. And you probably know, but you're morbidly obese, and you just need to lose weight." My acid reflux wasn't anything to do with getting older, or damage to my throat, or any other excuse I made up from reading online. I couldn't eat hot wings, onions, or garlic, and I couldn't drink soda anymore. When you're so fat that the junk food that made you there starts fighting you from the inside, and you're buying an extra large bottle of Gaviscon a week, it's time for a change. I started making some changes before Man v Fat. We started walking the dog more, and there were some fleeting memberships with commercial gyms, the usual. But none of it stuck until we bought our home in Bridgend, and I finally plucked up the courage to join the club. I'm an all or nothing type of person. I fixate and I do nothing by halves. So Man v Fat and the milestones process just clicked immediately. I was lucky that I joined when I did, and I had a first season that's hard to top with obesity. I was motivated and inspired by other members who had become the greatest of the club, like Paul Deacon and Ryan Harry. It almost became a competition to keep up with each other. And I'm not ashamed to admit that I'm fueled by spite. I know, a shock. I knew I wasn't going to light the world on fire football-wise, but I decided I would be the hardest worker in the team, and no one would ever outwork me. I picked players out on other teams and decided that next week or next month or next season, I'd make sure I was faster or stronger, that I had that extra 10 minutes in the tank on them. I can remember vividly moments since I joined the club when I realized just how much the fat had held me back before. Went on holiday last year and I didn't wear a top in the pool with my friends. Or I went for a run and I ran the last 2K topless, and not for any sexy reason. Nipple rub really sucks. I'm 19 months into my time with Man v Fat Progend, and in that time, it's given me irreplaceable memories. I've lost 50 kg and counting. I've become a BMI boss. I played a football match at a championship stadium in London. I got appointed as assistant coach of the club. I ran my first half marathon with another one in just a week's time. I've attended weddings for friends I didn't even know existed before COVID. And I've formed friendships that will persist way after the last kickoff. Most importantly, it's given me my life back. I don't shy away from photos with friends and loved ones anymore. And I've experienced exactly what you can achieve when you decide enough is enough. As for the future, well, hopefully everything that worked and didn't, or everything that I ate or I didn't, or how I've changed my lifestyle permanently will be useful to others. The club and its members have given me this journey, so now it's time to give back. I wasn't really sure what I was going to call this, but this is all in their own words. So, with that in mind, this was an open letter from KFC Scoffenheim.